Good morning, afternoon, and evening, my friends. My name is MiAh the King, and if your house is cold, just stand in the corner. It's always 90 degrees there. Now then, today we're taking a look at a game just released earlier on Steam called Synergy, a city building game on some alien planet, I think. Not sure. Anyway, developed by Lakeir Studio, hope I'm pronouncing that right, and published by Goblins Publishing and H2 Interactive, released in early access and selling for $25. So, I'm sure all of you are wondering, what the heck is this game? Well, it's pretty much just a city builder simulation game, which is funny because that tag isn't on the Steam store page at all. Weird. It's got futuristic, and sure, it is. It's got exploration, sure, there is some in a weird kind of way, and it's colorful. Yep. But why leave out the simulation, the city sim, and the tags like that? Because that's what this is. What is its story? I don't know. So yeah, let's dive into this sucker, starting off with the good first. So, the first positive thing I want to talk about is the graphical art design. It's definitely unique. Now, it's not the greatest looking, but that's okay. They went for a different style here, and in my opinion, it works. In fact, I think it works really well. Despite it being a different art style, they still have a great coloring, contrast, attention to detail, and even fluid motions for the little people walking around doing stuff. It wasn't too bright or too dark, and everything just looked really well for a game style like this. So, no complaints. I enjoyed watching it the entire time. Next up for the positives is the writing quality. Now, not the writing creativity, because honestly, I don't know anything about the lore or the history. The gist of what I got out of all I was reading is that you're a group of scientists on this planet here, and you're analyzing stuff. That's about all I got. But as for the actual quality of it, well, let's just go ahead and say there's a heck of a lot of reading in this game. So if that isn't your thing, then you might want to just move on. I mean, there's just so much reading. However, everything, in my perspective at least, was very well written and very cohesive and coherent. So at least there was that. Next up for the positives is the gameplay. It's what you'd expect in terms of what it is. I mean, it's a city builder. You build roads to increase your people's speed, make sure they have food and water as well as tools and an infirmary, have them build buildings that they require to grow and expand and gain happiness. It all works as you'd expect it to. They even give specialized district buildings which have their own building requirements and their own buildings unlockables that you can add to them, and they give different positives to your people. You know, that was kind of cool. You can kind of rotate buildings. What do I mean by that? Well, some buildings can rotate a full 360, others can only face two directions. I don't know why, it makes for some very awkward building mechanics. You can send your people off on expeditions to explore various areas, which then give you more reading as you read about what they discovered or what they want you to do. You'll have to make a decision and then live with the outcome. There's a massive tech tree for you to research to help make buildings more effective or to unlock new buildings, and that's about it. I'm gonna go more into the gameplay later, I promise. Next up for the positives is the controls and the user interface. Now, in my own personal opinion, I liked the UI. It's easy enough to navigate and understand, along with the appropriate key binding shortcuts. It's got pop-up tooltips to give you extra information about everything, and overall the camera control and other controls are actually well designed and work well, so it didn't feel awkward to play. I will make a special note here of something that I just remembered that's not in my script. For some reason, the tooltip bubbles, they pop up when you hover over something, but they don't stay up. They only hover up for a short amount of time. I'm a really fast reader, and I cannot read everything before they go away. So I would constantly have to move my mouse back over the thing I'm trying to read. I don't know why that's there, but it's weird. And last but not least for the positives is the game stability. Overall, the game was playing smooth as butter. I didn't run into a single stability issue the entire time. I mean nothing. No freezing, crashing, or frame rate dropping. And that's pretty freaking awesome, as I usually come to expect such things with early access titles. But nope, none of that there. The game ran very well. Alright, so that's all I got to say positively about the game. Next up is the negatives. However, before that, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on this video. Let me know what you think, or hell, even suggest an upcoming game you'd like me to take a look at. All of it helps my small channel grow, and let's face it, I need the help. Thanks. Now then, on to the negatives. Up first for the negatives is the sound design. It is severely lacking in this game. Some people don't care, but I'm under the impression that sound quality is very important for immersion or mood setting. The game's music it's average, you know, it's what you'd expect to be as background music. Not great, but not terrible, comes and goes. But then you've got the lack of ambiance and the lack of some sound effects. Also, there's no voice acting in this game. Besides the music, it was all surprisingly silent, which was kind of unnerving. The next negative point I'd like to point out is the gameplay. Yep, it's in both in this video. So for the most part, the gameplay does work in a lot of areas, but it's also lacking in some as well, which is what we're going to be talking about here, where it's lacking. Now, the buildings basically all need to be connected to each other. They need to be like within distance of each other so people can access stuff, right? So like, what do I mean by that? Well, you've got a grid-based building system, and your water storage and your food cellar need to be next to all the houses in this grid system. However, the area of effect around these buildings is annoyingly small. Same with the district buildings and other key buildings. Their area of effects are so freaking small, it makes it pointless to try to go for any kind of aesthetic building, you know, to make your place look nice. Because of all the small building areas around each of these buildings, you're forced to just jam everything everywhere as close together as possible and end up looking cramped and jumbled and just not very good looking at all, just hoping that your people will be close enough. I don't know why that guy can't walk across the street to grab that stuff. It doesn't make any sense. Want to know why that you want to do it this way rather than just build a second cellar or water storage? Because that will require more people to carry resources, which you don't have because they're all off doing other stuff. The game gives you what I guess is just a random amount of raw resources, so if you run out of one on your map, you're pretty much screwed. I ran out of stone on a playthrough, and it pretty much stopped me completely in my tracks as I could no longer build anything else without stone. I was in a match where they wanted me to unlock using thorns to build tools with research, and I did that. But guess what? Not a single thorn plant or plant that gives me any kind of thorns was on my map at all, so that didn't make any sense. Also, you have to build a research center and have your people manually study sorry, not a research center, it's more like a field research. You've got like your scientist research and then you've got your field research. It's not confusing, I swear. But the field research, it basically, with the field research, you assign people to it, and then you have to tell them manually to study every single freaking thing on the map, one click at a time, just to find 1/3 of information about it. Then manually tell your people to either pick it, which is having them without removing the plant or damaging nature, harvest resources, or deconstruct it for a one-time gain on those resources. Oh, and did I mention your scientists are idiots? Because apparently after realizing that this plant has thorns, it turns out it has thorns, and it can hurt you. Wow, who knew? Maybe now that you know that, you can stop freaking hurting yourself on it, like normal people. But no, they're going to continue to prick their fingers and then go running crying to the doctor about how they stubbed their toe. Next up for the negatives is the price. I feel like $25 is a bit too much for this. I mean, it's got no ambiance, it's got no voice acting, it's an early access, it's not smoothed out in terms of gameplay, and it's just a simple city builder, not really doing anything new or innovative in its gameplay. So I think that $20 is a more appropriate price tag for this. But that's all I got to say negatively about the game. Honestly, this one was a bit weird for me to review. I didn't really know where to go with this. So what are my final thoughts? Well, I think it's got an interesting take on the city builder genre. It's not really doing anything different or new or innovative, but it is different in another way. See, it's weird. It's different because of how they approached it, but not in any other way, if that makes any sense. It's still programmed well, and for the most part, it does do what it sets out to do while trying to be a little bit different from other city builders. For instance, in this game, the point is to be in sync with the environment, to work with nature rather than to, destroy it and build your city. You harvest plants, but you do so carefully. You explore, but you aren't invasive. You merge with nature rather than dominate it. So its mechanics are based around that. It's a different look at city building. However, it's a bit awkward at times, also a bit slow at times, and honestly, why the hell does it keep decreasing my game speed? I got it to sped up to 4 times for a reason. Stop dropping it back down to regular speed. The game moves too slow for that. And overall, it's just kind of boring. They talk about how this is supposed to be you against nature, but it's not really. Like in Frostpunk, this isn't that. Not even close. So it's not really that hard. It's just the hardest thing that I had against, quote unquote, fighting nature was a heat stroke problem that happened once and lasted for not very long. That was about it. So other than that, it was just a typical city builder. What's my recommendation? Well, I think this game is average. It's not amazing or great or pushing the mold. It's no Manor Lords. But it's not awful and terrible and badly designed either. I think that there is real potential here for this game to be a decent game, but as it is right now, it's just not anything special. It's just a little different. That's all. So if you're desperate for a new city builder game or just a fan of these and want to collect them all, then you won't find anything inherently wrong with this game, and you could buy it and enjoy it. But if you're looking for something newer or bigger or more interesting or more epic or anything like that, then you might be looking around for something else and pass on this one. It's just an average city builder with a different take on city building. That's it. Take that as you will. Alright, everybody? Alright, so that's all the time I got for this video. Thanks so much for watching, with a special thanks to those of you who stuck around till the end. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I can't wait to see you all again on my next adventure. So until then, I bid you all farewell.